Good morning. Welcome to the Greenwald and BC podcast, What the Builder Knows. My name's Colin Herren, President, and this is...
I'm Preston.
Preston Herren, Vice President, also co-owner of the company. We thought we'd come to you today and tell you a little bit about Beaver Island and what it's like to work on Beaver Island. Beaver Island is a unique place out in the middle of Lake Michigan, about 30 miles out, right? 30 miles out in the middle of Lake Michigan?
Yep.
Northwest corner of Michigan. And we've had a presence on the island more or less for 10 plus years. How long have we had a presence there?
Yeah, we've been there. I've been there longer, but our company's been there since 2016.
So 2016, our venture took it there. You had been there a number of years before that. So I wouldn't, I never like to call us experts, but we got a pretty good handle on what it takes to be living and working on Beaver Island. So let's just start up a little bit about Beaver Island quickly, because everybody knows Mackinac Island, and that's the famous Michigan island. Beaver Island's not Mackinac Island. So how do you get to Beaver Island?
Beaver Island, two ways. You can jump on a boat out of Charlevoix, the Beaver Island Boat Company. It's about a 2 hour and 15-minute journey that gets you from the harbor in Charlevoix over to Beaver Island. A lot of people choose to fly. There's a couple of air services right out of Charlevoix. It's private, it's public. There's people that come and go every day. They fly, they travel on the hour most days. If you're taking the boat, that stops. It's seasonal. So December 20th is usually your cutoff. And it picks back up this year, April 10th. So it's definitely cyclic.
So compared to Mackinac Island, where there's a half-hour ferry from like early in the morning to darn near midnight, depending on, this is maybe one boat, two boats, three boats a day at the most type deal. So definitely not as easy to get to. And when I say remote, it's definitely a very remote island. So the fact that it's not easy to get to is where we start with how complicated it is to work on Beaver Island. So let's start with the reason there's a small population there is probably because of the remoteness too. Less people like it. The people that like it love it, but the people that like it have to experience some logistics and living there. So how many people live on Beaver Island year-round?
I'm sure there hasn't been an exact census. My guess would be about under 1,000 people full-time, live there, stay there all year long.
But then on the big seasons, summer season, Memorial Day to Labor Day, how many people's on the island usually?
Thousands. I've heard ranging from 7,000 up to larger than that, 11, 12,000 people there during the summer. So
less than 1,000 people live there, but thousands come there to stay. And where do they, there are lodges and such, but a lot of them have vacation homes.
Correct. Yeah, many people. I found through passage of time, let's say their childhood was on the island or they had family from the island, and there's something that draws people back to their roots. So, there's definitely different types of people brought from all over the world for different reasons. Maybe it's the nature, maybe it's the serenity, maybe it's that distance travel away from life, away from the mainland that they enjoy, the difference, a little bit of struggle sometimes to be there, like they earn their keep by being there. So just as you talk to people, you notice the community, you just see all the different reasons people bring there as a whole. It's definitely a little bit of an island culture, not just a place to be.
Yeah, you definitely disconnect. There's a term called island time. It kind of slows down people. I'm not saying people are slow there. I'm saying things seem to slow down. Things don't seem to be as hectic. So the folks that visit there end up having lots and lots of cottages. I've heard the number of a couple thousand seasonal homes there. So that's largely where our team comes in, is those seasonal homes for these people. We do work for some residents of the island, but largely we work for vacationers, if you will.
Correct.
And these vacationers come from all over the nation, right?
Yeah, there's people that come in from Europe that are there a couple weeks. There's people that live right in Charlevoix and they just want to bounce over the island. They've got a boat. Some people have their own personal plane. They just like flying. They like boating. They enjoy the serenity of it. They enjoy no one knowing who they are. They can just escape from it.
And it's neat when you fly in. We took some people over here recently for our Christmas party, Lindsay and Eddie from our team, and he was like, it looks just like the Caribbean. Because I think they honeymooned down there or something. But it's like, yeah, that's how beautiful that water is. Anyway, so you're way out in the middle of the lake, and you only have boat service for 5 months, but somebody wants a home built out there. So let's talk about, somebody just says, hey, I want a home out there. What's your advice on what to be cautious of. I mean, not even talking about building it yet, but owning a home. What is different from owning a home on Beaver Island versus owning a vacation home any other lake in Michigan?
Sure. It takes a lot more long-term planning, forethought into having a house, having vehicles. You know, you land on the island. Okay, what do you drive? The storage, the where do things winter, winterization of your home. How long is it going to be before you come back? Is your fridge empty when you leave? Did you turn your well off? You know, all these things that we see on the back end of the forethought to like make it ready. You know, is it ready to come? Is it ready to go?
So let's say you just talked about those things. You live in Metro Detroit and you have a cottage at Higgins Lake, and you're like, oh, I forgot to do that. I can run up there this afternoon and do those things, and I'll burn my Saturday, but I can ready my house. Whereas this is a commitment. Like, you're not coming back for X number of months.
Yep.
So it's a little different.
It's different. It's right down to the furniture. You know, everything that's large comes and goes by that boat. That boat is your lifeline, literally, to whatever you want to do. So it's planning, it's preparation, it's thinking of all these things way ahead of time. You know, there's no like, ooh, I forgot. Like, once you're there, you're there. Once a team is there, once a trade is there, you're there. So it's a lot of preparation and thinking ahead of yourself to make it come together, whatever it is, whether it's a weekend or you have us building your home. You know, it's the last boat's in December and you say you want to come to me and like, all right, we want to move in May. It means I've got your cabinetry. It means I've got your flooring, your trim, your windows, your doors. It's all there on the island and ready to go. So we have storage. We have a lot of places to store people's goods throughout that season.
So I'm going to come back to that. But you said something earlier, like you got to think about your car. Again, comparing to Mackinac Island, people talk about bicycling around, there's no cars. This island's totally different. It's a car island. And correct me if I'm wrong, it's like 7 miles wide, 13 miles tall. You know,
Correct.
Big island. I mean, it's half the size of an average county or something, whatever. It's a large island. Tell me, if you used to, everybody bikes around Mackinac Island, so they know it's like 8 point some miles around it. Like, how long of a drive is it around this island?
I want to say, you know, I'd have to look exactly, but I want to say the shoreline mileage is in the 30s. It's like 33 or 34 miles of shoreline, you know, not a straight line. It jags in and out, but like it wouldn't be possible. Like, it's more remote. It would take you days to walk around the entire island.
Right. So in that car ride, because I've taken it many times, I mean, you can burn 45 minutes getting somewhere on the island. It's not in a car. I mean, the roads are largely unimproved. I mean, you'd have dirt roads. You have a couple miles of pavement. So even when you get there, you're not just there like Mack Island. People think, I'm here. No, you're not there. You still have to get somewhere. So the two options for your car is the boat. If you schedule in advance, you can get your car over. Or a lot of our owners own their own vehicles and have them on island all the time. Whenever they show up, they have it, right? So it's the same for us. Then when we turn out to building, you talk about storage. So we have to house all of our men or women that work there. We have to house our trades. We have to provide vehicles for them, etc. So we use lots of island trades, if you will. So folks that reside on the island have companies, you know, electricians and heating contractors, plumbers, etc. But often we put extra trades on because there's only so much that those residents can do there. So when we put our trades on, we have to provide vehicles, we have to provide places to stay, so we have houses, etc. So let's run through some of that. So I want to build a house. I contact you, and I know it could be with you and another young lady by the name of Maura that works for us, gets involved, and you figure out want to build this house. And some of the questions that people say is like, well, why are things so expensive on the island? And then we say, well, we have a lot of extra logistics. So I want to get a load of drywall onto a project there. Tell me how it works. And like in Mount Pleasant, Central Michigan, if I wanted, I call the drywall store, 2-3 days, maybe a week and a half. It shows up on my job site. They unload it themselves, meaning the supply company, and they take it into my house and into my rooms. You want to order drywall. Tell me what happens.
Okay. Let's say we're planning on installing drywall on your home in February. So at that time, the boat is not running. So we order bunks of drywall in. We have to wrap it, shrink wrap it. It sits on the dock. We don't know how long. It could be there a day. It could be there a week, depending on the weather outside.
And when you say dock, it's in Charlevoix.
Charlevoix
like
dock.
Charlevoix.
We're 38 miles downtown Charlevoix from Beaver Island. So our suppliers drop it at the dock in Charlevoix, and it waits until that space is available on the boat. When that space opens up and they say we're taking it, that material gets forklifted again, puts on the boat. That's a 2.5-hour ride that resides all the way to the harbor on Beaver Island. At that time, the fork trucks on the boat take that material off the boat, which is still wrapped, and they drop it off on the dock. They in turn call us and say, your freight is on the dock, ready to be picked up. So then we then take a truck and a trailer. There's no delivery service. There's no foundation building supply that will deliver this. We take those materials that are wrapped. We store them in our facility, in our barn.
Right. So we go to the dock with a truck and a trailer. We have a person. They load it on our trailer with their equipment, supply. If it's supplies they can handle, which most of it they can. If not, we take our SkyTrack there. Then you haul it back to your warehouse that you have there, and you have like a 15,000 square foot warehouse there.
Yep.
And a couple other barns. And then that drywall goes in that storage place. So now this is November, let's say, and you need it in February. Mm-hmm. That's the planning that has to go on there.
Yep.
So not only do we pay for storage and we pay for transport, and now we just got it there. So now in February, what happens?
Yeah, we have to turn around. So first we take the material per job and we have to load it in our barn accordingly. So you don't just willy-nilly put materials in there. You got to be thinking, when do you need it? Because you're stacking materials 3-4 sections high for the next months of time per job. So then we have equipment at the shop to offload this material. We store it for an extended period of time. So it's time to do your drywall. We pull the drywall out of stock. We put it back on a trailer. We drive the trailer to your job site, your house location. Then our team, we have to load that drywall in for the trades. We communicate with trades. Where do you want it? What floors do you want it on? We use our SkyTracks, our equipment. Sometimes we pull out a window, figure it out, open up sashes, get the drywall in, and then you call the trade and say, okay, now the job is stocked. Now I am ready for you to show up and hang drywall.
So then we call the drywaller, which is a little different. Normally the drywaller does all that here. So then the drywaller sends hangers. We pay to fly them over.
Yep, we schedule their flights. We get their hotel. We get their room. We get their stay. We give them our vehicles during the wintertime for them to function to hang your drywall.
So in a nutshell, it's a lot more money. And what randomly amount, what do you think that is in a percentage basis compared to mainland?
Yeah, because we work, our company works all over from central Michigan to up in the North Country by the bridge, Petoskey, Bay Harbor, and then we work on the island full time. So my best estimates on what it would cost is about 35% more than what you would spend on average. Right. A lot of companies have all these services provided, and we're it. We are the moving company. We are the service company. We are the people that move all of your furniture, all of your goods, all of your flooring. That was an example of one trade. You could go down painters and flooring companies, and we take care of it.
So for instance, in the mainland, we have dumpsters on every job site. There's no dumpsters. Yep. So our team loads things in trailers and takes it to a transfer station where some of it is shipped back off the island because they don't like it to stay there. Some of it is separated and ground up into wood grindings, right? Chips and such. I mean, it's even complicated in your waste stream out, inexpensive. So shingles, say we do lots of roofing, re-roofing, it comes in a pallet with a cardboard box that's 3 foot by 3 foot, right? And we literally hand load into those on a job site. Pick those up, put them on a trailer, take them to the transfer station where they unload them. So right from the day one to the last day, everything is more complicated. And some people, I'm not sure they understand that. And so not trying to talk anybody out of it because we love working on Beaver Island. But the reality is the logistics side of it adds a super big number and time.
It is. It's not per se the fault of the island because you're there because it costs more money. It's because they incur more costs. So the transfer station, the Beaver Island transfer station, for example, they have Gaylor boxes. So one cubic yard, right? And here downstate, you get a 10-yard or a 20-yard, and a 10-yard dumpster. Let's just throw an even number. Let's say it's $450 for a 10-yard dumpster. That obviously gets you 10 yards. So when you're on Beaver Island, that cardboard box gets to be moved twice down to a private barge. That barge gets barged across the Great Lakes with all of its permissions, with all of its legalities, licensing to do that. So they pay that barge company. Then someone on the mainland side comes down and repicks these Gaylor boxes
and
up.
Hauls it to an
and then hauls
landfill.
it. Yeah. somewhere else. So it's the fault of the proximity to where it's at and all the hands involved, just like us. But that Gaylord box cost me $350 for a cubic yard for 1 yard, and here it's $450 for 10.
Right.
And then we hand load it in boxes, where your trade can walk out in your driveway if you're on the mainland and throw it in your dumpster, and it's a done deal. Where we sort cardboard, we sort plastic, we sort all of our debris.
And not only that, but you got to realize the folks that are on the island and reside there, their cost of living is higher. So the tradespeople on the island have to charge more. For the day-to-day life, it's more, so therefore to survive, they have to charge more. So, and there's not, frankly, a lot of people that want to do it, so there's not these large volumes of trades. There's not 7 plumbers, and you can get, there's a lot of times one of something. So, frankly, you're lucky if you can get them, number one, if they have time for your schedule, and number two, the price is not always what you'd expect when you can get, I don't want to say any Tom, Dick, or Harry, but, if you go to major metro areas, you have different options. Sometimes you only have one option, and you're lucky if you can get them. And that's why we bring a lot of trades in. So then we find ourselves buying houses, getting them ready for men or women to transfer in. We find ourselves buying apartments. We find ourselves buying lots of trucks and trailers and, more men than we have here for the same type of strategy. And then bringing all these subs in off the island. And then all of the logistics of lining that all up is obviously nearly a full-time job as well. So that's the downside. Now, the upside is once you get your house, you can love it. And it's a great place to be. And not everybody's there because it's so hard to get there. Yeah. And so the people that enjoy it, it's a great thing. But the people that just want convenience, there's nothing about Beaver Island that's convenient.
No, people, I think, a little bit love the struggle. Like, they love that sense of being a doer. They love going through that phase of, calling the airport, getting a flight. They love 3 turns in their driveway. So when you're going down this dirt road, you can't see what they have, It's not all for show. It's, you see a lot of signs when you walk around the island travel, like serenity, meaning away from it, away from their desk job, the business that they own, the stresses in life that they have. They want that feeling of like disconnect from the life that they live at times to unwind, and that's how they do it.
Yeah, so we work on some pretty elaborate homes. Yeah. I mean, remarkable homes. And you're right, they're not up on the bluff and on Lake Michigan where you just walk down Main Street and you're like, oh, there's a nice house. They're hidden. You can't find them. You go down these little tiny remote roads. You take 3 turns and you pull up, and they've got a really nice shack. I mean, it's a nice shack, and they've got koi ponds, and they've got gardens and a gardener, whatever. I mean, everybody has their own things, but it's not that they're there to show off. They're there to enjoy their peace, their time, and it's worth it to the right person. It's just that person has to come with all these understandings of what it takes to get there. And right down to, when we send trades there, sometimes they're like, hey, I can't get a Mountain Dew. It's 8 o'clock. What the heck? The store's closed, brother. It'll open tomorrow at 8. Yeah. It's not a 24-hour cycle. There's one grocery store. There's a gas station. There's everything you need to live there, because people obviously do. But you have to be much more thoughtful than our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week lifestyle on the mainland, that you have anything available to you at any time.
Yeah, it's fun to watch some of the new people that arrive there, and they're a little bit surprised by how it works. And then once you're there for a few months, you realize, like, okay, you don't have the personnel to keep the store open 24 hours a day. Like, the people just don't exist. So when the summer ramps up and there's thousands of people there, it's still the same core, let's say 1,000 people that make that island survive. So you don't just all of a sudden ramp up 3 times. Like, you don't walk in the deli and there's all of a sudden all this help, or in the gas station, because the same core people keep it running.
Because there's not a lot of housing on the island that's inexpensive. It's an expensive place to live. I mean, in terms of like rentals and that sort of thing. And when you're competing against vacation rentals, if you brought people in during the summer, so whereas Mack Island, again, it's a 20-minute boat ride, they can live in St. Ignace or on the mainland
same
here.
Day travel.
And they literally come and go. The housekeepers come and go from the island every day. That's not what happens there. No one's taking a flight for, I don't know, what is a flight, $130, $140?
Yep.
No one's taking a flight back and forth to work to help clean or run the deli or, help run the gas station. So, you're right. You don't. I'm sure they do bring some seasonal help in, but the reality is the cost of moving them, housing them, and then those people have to be willing to live that lifestyle. They're not able to see their families at that point. Whatever. It's a total different change. And so I thought it was kind of neat for us to be able to tell some of this. You've perfected it, if you will. You've got a pretty good expert system going on there. And I just wanted to let people know how unique of a place it is to build, how challenging of an environment it is to build in which. And yet we do it at a high functioning level, high performance level. Let's talk about that just a little bit. So currently, how many people do we have on our team in Beaver Island?
Currently, we have 12 employees on our team that help facilitate the island.
And of them, 10 of them reside on the island.
Correct.
I don't want to call them lifelongers, but many of them are lifelong.
Yep, correct.
And they reside there. They reside there of their own choice. We have 2 that work for us that live on the mainland that go there for work trips regularly.
Yep.
Like extended durations. One of those has been with us more than 25 years. And then you support it as well. And then Mount Pleasant has all of the back of the house staff, controllers, payrolls done here, office managers, etc. So we are able to support you in that method, but we're not boots on the ground, right? So interesting, pretty good team. I'm not sure very many people would realize how much we would do there. On average, how many projects a year are we doing on the island over the last?
I think last year we did like 63 different projects. And I don't,
and a project could be a $3.5 million home. Yeah. It could be a $10,000 roof job. It could be a $20,000 bathroom. It could be a $250,000 addition. It could be a $800,000 addition, right?
Yeah, it varies. We do everything over there.
Right. Well, frankly, there's not a lot of competition. There are other couple builders over there, and they stay just as busy as we do, right? Because there's more call for this great place than there is builders available, and we're all, if you will, fighting over the same workforce. When I travel around the island, the population of the island is more retiree age than it is young age.
It's in the 60s.
Right.
Median's in the 60s.
Right.
Yep.
So there's not that many able-bodied want-to-work people of that 1,000. So if you bring that number down to whatever percentage that is, and then you figure out that how many want to be in the construction industry, all of a sudden, wow, if you found 10, you're doing quite well out of 1,000 people to find 10 to be there. So it's very interesting. Oh, look at that. We got a phone going off. That's a fine of some kind. I don't know what, but probably it was Beaver Island trying to get a hold of you. But it's challenging even for us, and so that's why you bring so many guys from off the island to help you out, and ladies from off the island to help you out. And so it's an adventure, and a lot of people like the adventure, and we find on our team there's a honeymoon. It's pretty cool. Everybody goes there, and it's fun. It's exciting. And then all of a sudden, it's like, well, I'm away from my family, and it's no longer fun anymore, right? So it's not just travel. It's travel that you don't always have your future in mind. Like sometimes you travel there, and the flights just don't run that day, so you can't get off.
Yeah, you could talk to anyone who has made that cycle, or let's say been there throughout that year 10 times. It's going to happen. It's been horrible. Like where at times you send someone up there 4 times, and all 4 times, there's an issue, or you could go up there 30 times and not have an issue and not have any clue what happens.
For me, over the last 6-7 years, how many years we've been going there, I'm about 50% not getting off when I expected to get off for whatever reason. It could be, delays, weather, whatever. I think I'm about 50% myself.
Winter, late winter into spring is the worst. It's when the water's cold, and then you get that warmer weather over the lake, and that transition period. So this winter with our warmer temperatures has been worse. It's all the fog. It's the low visibility that just stops you.
So I think we just talked about all the negative reasons about Beaver Island, and I don't want to make it sound negative, but I thought we would do a good job of informing people that there's a lot of logistical challenges, and so it's not. We have a larger investment in Beaver Island for, say, it's 30%. I'm just making this up. Maybe Beaver Island's 30% of our company's work, but we have as big of investment or bigger in time and resources to do that work. So our team gets compensated better as well. So it's not like we're just taking advantage of people. We're trying to make more money on people. We have a lot of resources expended and tied up to do that work.
We've got, it's not by choice. It's not like, we decided we want to grow that way or do that. But in the middle of the summer, you can't find housing. You're putting guys up in hotels night after night after night. So then we had to make that choice, like we should invest in housing up here. It helps us put a stronger foothold on the island to be a presence. Like, hey, we're willing to come here. We're willing to work. We'll pay the taxes. We'll be part of the community. We want to make this community thrive too, and then also provide housing for our guys. We have more vehicles, right, than anyone. Here at our shops, downstate, we have shops, we have offices, but we don't have that storage facility that's needed up on the island for all these resources of stocking. It's amazing how much material goes into a housing project, and we have to have the space to store it all over a 4-month period of no boat.
Sure. And then if you happen to miss it because somebody like Anderson doesn't make a window or it's broken, or a cabinet comes broken, or somebody doesn't order something on time, you're literally renting cargo planes, these large cargo planes to ship that over. Like, it's unbelievable. I think when people hear the term planes, these planes are like 5 to 6 seaters generally. You're shoulder to shoulder. There's no room. Like, you can't put a piece of 12-foot fascia in it.
Yeah.
It's not something you're flying stuff back and forth.
And when you're flying it back and forth, you're paying for it per pound, and you're thinking, can I fit that in the plane? Like, you need a refrigerator because your refrigerator died, and you would call the airport, and they would kind of give you a pause and then a little bit of a laugh and say, well, I hope it's cold outside for a long time for you because you're not getting a fridge over here. So when we do these really big projects are unique, it's about timing and use. So yes, there's been times where we hire planes out of Oshkosh that are rear loading, and we put the 800-pound refrigerator in there, in the oven, in the countertops, and we fly it all over because come spring right now is that season. I feel it every day, where everyone wants their house in May. So, you have all your wintertime clients, you have all the kitchens, bathrooms, all of this design that's finally coming together with all these details. And those first couple boats are countertops and sinks and plumbing devices and appliances and everything you've got planned for months, ahead of time to make all this work. So when everyone comes in May, they're excited and not disappointed.
And at the same time, that boat space is being fought for by the bars, the restaurants, because they've stocked up at the grocery store for these 1,000 people, but they're constantly flying fresh food over all the time, obviously, but they're ready to replenish all their supplies, getting ready for these people to run in, so they have probably a month before people really start to come in. So yeah, it's a complicated thing, but don't want to scare you away from Beaver Island and don't want to make you sound like it's not worth it, but we thought it'd be a good opportunity to just explain how complicated life is. Like, and we work on Beaver Island. You've worked on the other islands as well, which don't have commercial service to it. You've worked on Trout, South Fox, and there we're renting barges, throwing our sky tracks on barges, just crazy, can't imagine them things, pushing our guys off into these places with coolers full of food and saying you're going to live off the grid for 5 days and you're going to roof this place or whatever we're doing. So definitely challenging up there, different environment. People, I think Beaver Island is one of those places once you visit, you either love it or you hate it. Some people just, it's not what they expected, and a lot of people absolutely love it. And the ones that love it, I think you're right. They do like the remoteness, but they just have to come to learn that there's a different level of service on that island. And you're not going to call somebody and get service today because most of the people are spoken for a large period of time. Yeah,
I think it's unique, and the people that live there all the time could concur the same. It's in the summer it's sunny, it's nice, the weather's nice, you have long days, the water's beautiful, the planes fly because they keep up with people, the boat has 4 trips a day. Cars are moving, people are moving, every restaurant's open, every restaurant is stocked. It's running at its capacity, it's ready for that season. But you get through those winter months, and a lot of businesses, people, you kind of go in survival mode a little bit. You're doing it to maintain what you have so that you're ready for this busy season. For us, sometimes our busy season is actually that September to May because everyone wants to use their house during those months. They're like, okay, now that we're gone, now you take it over. So we have that ability to keep everyone busy and keeps trades busy and keeps, airports busy moving all this stuff over that winter. But it's just a recognition to owners, like, while you're gone, all these things happened for you, for your house, for your project during all those times where you're on the mainland. It's a little bit easier there than what we go through.
So that's unique too. Of your projects that happen throughout this course, I mean, you rarely see the owner. They rarely see the project. That's another uniqueness. You have to have a trust factor. Like, granted, we send pictures and videos and blah blah, but Yeah, that's different for people to speak. We just literally send notes, say, keep sending money. Here's your next bill. And they have to trust that we're doing a great job. And so it takes a lot of relationship building.
I think it's a lot of communication up front and expectations. And a lot of times we don't describe all of our struggles very well.
Right.
Like we don't tell them that the 6 interior doors that came over, 3 of them are damaged. And you call your supplier and you say, this is what happened. In the middle of it, like, you don't point fingers, you don't blame, you don't make a ruckus. It's not like it costs the owners any money. But in the middle of it, you're just like trying to make good of the project. And how do you go back and blame someone from the boat company or someone from one of our vendors or us for touching it or moving it? And it's all those struggles day to day to make things happen, to keep the job going, that a lot of times you're just silent about and you just make it happen.
Which is the same thing that the local bars and restaurants have. They have their challenges. And so that's why sometimes in the winter you're having cheeseburgers and Pabst Blue Ribbon because that's what they have.
And you're at the airport and you're like, all right, they haven't flown for 3 days. So that lettuce sitting beside me in the plane has also sat there for 3 days.
Waiting. Yeah. So, well, I think we've maybe given us about a half hour. I think that's a good enough version of Beaver Island, but I think it's pretty cool for everybody to be able to hear about it. So I appreciate coming in today. Again, this is Preston with Greenwald and BC. He's vice president, co-owner with myself, and it's Colin Herren from Greenwald, BC, the president. We thought we'd share a little bit with you about Beaver Island. So thanks for listening today. We appreciate you.
Yep, thanks.